Welcome to 3D Movie Cinema, the only show that's 3 dimensions away from Batman having more bat nipples. I'm your host, 3D Jake, and today is my review of The Batman. The Batman is a movie that a lot of people have been talking about, and I've waited a long conversation to talk about it. And so today, a lot of people have been asking, so today, here's my review of Batman. Look, I love Batman. Batman is a great character. I love it. You know, and when I went and saw this movie, I was excited. I watched all the TV spots, trailers. I love Batman. Batman's a great character. I will say, though, when I watched this movie, parts of the movie I had issues with. Like, one of the biggest issue I had with the movie was, you know, Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne just did not feel like Bruce Wayne. Like, he almost felt like I understand your parents got shot, but it almost felt like the whole movie he was just moping about that. I'm like, you know, look, I understand anyone losing a relative is sad, but essentially the Batman, which I understand he still holds that connection with him, but it just felt like he was holding on to that forever. And it's like, look, I understand that's an important part of who he is, but even like Batman, he got to hold that in because he's got to put on a front because Bruce Wayne is the mask, and it felt like he had no mask. He kind of was just Batman the whole time. You know, and then when he wasn't Batman, he was still trying to be Batman. Like, you know, at least in other movies and in the comics and everything, he always pretends to be this drunk playboy billionaire, and then to the public. But then whenever everybody else, he's just like, oh hey everyone. But then, you know, because Batman's really truly who he is in the outside. You know, Batman, he is. Like, he died that day in the alley. Bruce Wayne died, and Batman kind of became to the light. And I always liked that in the character, you know, like Bruce Wayne really just died in that alleyway. And this one kind of felt like, yeah, Bruce Wayne did die in the alleyway, but Bruce Wayne, you know, there is no Bruce Wayne. It always felt like there is no Bruce Wayne, only Batman. And he doesn't even refer to himself as Batman. Like, he is Batman, but he doesn't refer to himself. He's like, oh, everybody calls him Vengeance. And I'm like, Vengeance. And I'm just like, dude, why, do you just want to be called Vengeance the whole time? Like, do you not want to be called Batman? Like, it's Vengeance. Like, that's what I thought about it. And I'm just thinking, you know, like, somewhere Christopher Nolan's like, damn, why didn't I think of that? Because Christopher Nolan famously hated, like, calling him Batman, so he'd call him the Batman. And so when he was making the Dark Knight trilogy, but this one made me really laugh because it's like no one really calls him Batman. There's like one or two references, which I could be wrong about this, but there's only one or two references I think in the movie where he's calling him he said Bats. You know, everyone else is really just calling him Vengeance, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, you know, I understand this movie's really grounded and realistic. And I will say this, I loved the cast. I thought Zoe Kravitz was fantastic as Catwoman. I thought Colin Farrell was terrifying and great as the Penguin. You know, and I can't wait for the GCPD or Penguin spinoff, whatever. They're doing like TTV shows. One's like a GCPD show, the other one's a Penguin show. And so I can't wait for that. And I really liked this movie. And the movie was 3 hours long. And it didn't start off slow or nothing. Like, it started off like right then and there. We were in that movie, like the Riddler doing some horrible shit. He almost come off like, you know, John Doe in Seven or Jigsaw in the Saw movies. He kind of comes off like that, but you understood why he's doing this. And you're like, wow, he's a really messed up dude. But at the same time, he's kind of like, he idolizes Batman, and he wants to be like Batman, only he's doing it in a much horrible and more cruel way. And he kind of has no pity or remorse of what he's doing. He's just basically like a proud serial killer about his work. Like, he thinks this is his great work of art. Although I will say, he does a great job. Paul Dano, I was never a fan of Paul Dano. I've always felt like his performances in every movie I've seen him in always come off as like the whiny guy in the movie, where you're just like, this guy's so annoying, you know. And I will say the only movie I ever really liked him in was this movie, you know what, maybe Night and Day. I liked him in Night and Day too. But usually he always comes off as this whiny guy, and I'm just like, I don't care about your character in any movie, because you always, even in There Will Be Blood, he's like, woo! There's even a funny scene in Prisoners, which I saw last year for the first time, where Hugh Jackman's torturing him. He's making this awkward noise. It just made me laugh. And he actually makes a noise in this movie too, in the prison. I started laughing in the theater. I was laughing so hard in the theater, going, he keeps swinging for them fences when it comes to that. Like, why does he keep choosing that side? Like, I like him in this movie, but like, that's like the only scene where I like kind of took me out of it, going, Paul Dano, never change, Paul Dano, never change. Woo! Woo! I'm just like, why? You know, that's the only thing that made me laugh more than anything. And you know, and I will say, like, you know, the movie itself is 3 hours, and you know, there are parts of this movie where, like, you know, it kind of like, you know, he goes from like Search for the Riddler to dealing with Falcone, and then he even has a chase scene with the Penguin. I will say the Penguin stuff I really liked. Falcone, I feel like that could have cut. If they would have cut that whole Falcone stuff out of it, I wouldn't have cared. Because, like, at the end of the day, you know, we want to see, Falcone's always been that Batman villain that where if they cut him out of anything, people would be fine with it. Because at the end of the day, people want to see Batman fight the Penguin, the Riddler, and him team up with Catwoman, or him fight Catwoman. You know, we've always wanted to see that in movies. We don't really want to see Falcone. Although, I will say, John Turturro does a better job in this movie than other actors in the past have played Falcone, because, you know, and I will say, he actually felt like he was they made him villainous. I mean, I will say, in Batman Begins, the guy who plays Falcone in that movie, he did an okay job, but I just felt like I didn't care about that character. In this movie, I did not feel like I cared about this character at all either. But, like, at least he made it more interesting to watch. I will say that Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. Fantastic Commissioner Gordon. I was hoping when he accepted the role as Commissioner Gordon that he'd play it like Bernard from Westworld, and he kind of did, and I really liked that. And the only thing is, I feel like he didn't speak much in the movie. Like, there's like a couple of times like he doesn't like feel like, it feels like he's there, but then he just isn't saying nothing. And I was like, come on, man. You know, I was like, you know, you're Jeffrey Wright, be great. And he was great though, you know, but it just like, some parts I just felt like he wasn't saying much, you know, like I can't remember one line he said in the movie. You know, but I will say that he did a great job in this movie, and I can't wait to see him in the GCPD series, or in the Penguin spinoff if they do that, or in the sequel, which I hope they're going to do. This movie is really good. I really love this movie. The movie itself is 3 hours long, and, you know, 3 hours, like, you know, some people say, well, for a Batman movie, but at the same time, there's a lot of great Batman movies that are long. Like, look, you know, Batman's a great character. I will say, yeah, I complain about the Bruce Wayne thing, and the one thing I felt like, you know, is, you know, there is, like, you know, like, when it comes to, like, memorable moments in the movie, I didn't feel like there was, like, you know, the car chase scene, or maybe there was, which I know that's actually done practically with through the fire. I thought that was really well done. And I really say, like, I guess the scene that the most stands out for me is probably the scene where the Riddler henchman, how he recruits his henchmen. It's like through Reddit or something. Like, it's either like Facebook or Reddit or something. He's like, hey guys, like, thanks for giving me the tips. And I'm just like, I was like, this is great. I remember someone I was talking to about it, and they're like, why the hell would they do that? Like, why couldn't the Riddler just recruit his henchmen? Like, why do he have to go, like, on its social media? Because, you know, people are going to see this and think, see, this is how serial killers going to get started, through social media. I'm like, that's just funny to me. And I'm thinking, the FBI can't find this guy. Like, he's posting stuff on the internet. Like, he's literally told all of his plans and stuff. It's, like, right there. Like, that's the one that I kind of thought, like, wow. Like that, you know, and that right there just made me kind of like, oh, that's a choice. Like, that made me really laugh more than anything. Cause I'm just like, the Riddler's posting stuff. And like, he was really humble too in that, like, hey guys, like, it just like, it's like almost like, you know, like he's like about to go, like, giving a football to a prep, like, hey guys, so, you know, like, I'm like, he's probably gave these talks before on here. I bet you Batman could go through a list of them, like, so I'm going out there to kill this congressman today. And then people give him thumbs up. Yeah, do it. Knock that dude dead. Okay, I will, literally. Thanks. Like, I just thought that was great. I thought that was amazing. But, you know, I like that. And I also I did like that he recruited his henchmen, like, because they're just crazy people. Like, if you watch the Scream movies, there's like 2 movies or 3 movies where people are recruited to be Ghostface because they go on the internet and they get into a chat room or something. And it felt like that. Like, someone went on to a chat room or like that website, and they were like, oh yeah, it says, hey, don't forget, we're going to go team up and kill the mayor. And so then he's like, all right, let's go kill the mayor. Yay. And I'm just like, wow, okay. Which I will say, the third act of the movie was really good, like the flood in Gotham. And I'm like, okay, that's a big catastrophic event, you know, because, and it doesn't like Batman. I'm like, the only thing I was worried about was Batman better not stop the dam from being flooded, because there's no way. He's not Superman. He's Batman. Batman can't do nothing. He can only help people out of the flood. But I'm glad it did that. It kind of felt like, okay, this natural disaster happened, even though it's not a natural disaster. This flooding happened, you know, and Batman basically just had to help recovery. And I will say that the lady that played the mayor, she did, I'm sorry, I don't know, I forgot her name, but she did a great job as the mayor. And I know she only in like 1 or 2 scenes, but she did a good job. And I kind of felt like I was on her side going, yes, help clean up Gotham. Especially, I was like, okay, any guy who's the mayor of Gotham and is letting a city go to hell like this is dirty. I knew that mayor was dirty from the get-go. And I'm just like, this lady is going to clean up Gotham. I'm like, I was rooting for her at the end because I'm like, she's going to clean up Gotham. She's going to get Harvey Dent in there before he's Two-Face, and he's going to help put the crime away. And by the end of his storyline, he's going to become Two-Face again. And, you know, I'm like, I'd like to see her return for the sequel. And she really does want to help. And I think she knows that Bruce Wayne, being a billionaire elite, he could help clean up the city too with financial resources. And I think really if Bruce Wayne would kind of get out in the world, which he doesn't, he just kind of hides away in the Batcave and just sort of does detective work all day. And I really feel like, and I understand, like I was thinking about this, it's kind of like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Robert Pattinson's Batman is like Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's not yet Batman. You know, he hasn't even called himself Batman. He has the Batmobile and a Batsuit in a Batcave, but he's not really Batman yet. Like, he's not there. Like, Tom Holland's Spider-Man was not really Spider-Man yet. So, he's kind of like in this training stages. Like, he has to eventually become Batman. Eventually, he probably will become Batman. Probably by the 3rd movie, he'll officially be Batman. You know, because I understand this is like, not year 1 essentially, but this is Batman year 2. And so, he's still figuring out all these stuff, like, you know, like he's still new at this stuff. Like, he uses that symbol, which I love that he uses that symbol as fear. You know, like they don't know him as a hero even. Like, I remember this one guy gets beat up at the beginning of this movie, and like he's afraid of Batman because he looks at him like, okay, it's kind of like a monster destroying other monsters, rather than like, okay, this is a symbol of justice. And so I understand that, you know, he is essentially the Dark Knight, but without being the Dark Knight, you know. And he is like really good in this movie, essentially that fear token. And I love, by the way, I've listened to this song 1,000 times now. They played Nirvana, Something in the Way, twice. They played it in the trailer, and I love that trailer because of that song in that trailer. And so they played it twice in the movie, and I love that. I kept listening to that song after I got home because I was like, this is so great. And I love the Batman thing, how it plays out. It plays out just at the right time. And I think Michael Giacchino's score is great in the movie. Matt Reeves' direction, it kind of feels like 7 and sometimes. And the movie's PG-13, which I heard there are rumblings we may get an R-rated home video release. I'm hoping so, fingers crossed. I don't know yet, but I've been hearing rumblings like on the online and stuff that we may get a R-rated director's cut. I'm hoping so because I want to see that rat trap they did in the movie. Because they had to keep those traps PG-13, so you don't really get to see like the traps in their full Saw glory, because that would have been an R rating for sure. Which there is an F-bomb in this movie, and I was shocked. And like you get to see someone get blown up in the movie, and I was like, wow, I'm shocked at that too. You know, but the movie itself was essentially a great time. If I had to give it a grade, I would say, first off, I will say with action, it's got a lot of solid action. I would say the action's probably like an 8 out of 10 action. And with the comedy, there's not much comedy in the movie. I would say the comedy is probably about a 2, you know, or 3 maybe, because Batman hasn't always been a comedy except for in the 66 or Batman and Robin, or when Jim Carrey was on there in Forever. But I will say that the action in the movie has a great tone of action in the movie. There has a lot of horror suspense. Like this has a lot, like you're kind of feel like there's a scene in the movie where I was like, wow, this is really scary. Like I said, because you don't know what's going to happen, especially like, you know, you're walking, you see all these people, like, you know, when the scene where like the orphanage scene was creepy as hell. I was like, this is so creepy. That Riddler, like, what if he's waiting for you? Like, I was thinking, like, he's got like the Jigsaw where he's gonna have a pig mask on. It's gonna put Gordon in a trap or something. And I was worried, you know. And it does kind of feel like you don't know who the killer is. Like, I even at one point I was thinking, is he not really Edward Nygma? Like, is someone else Edward Nygma? Maybe he's a decoy. Like, it kind of kept you guessing. I was thinking to myself, maybe he's not Edward Nygma. Maybe it is like Gordon or somebody else. Maybe it isn't Edward Nygma. Maybe it's Alfred or. You know, at one point in the movie, I even thought there was an accomplice. He had an accomplice. Because the cop in the movie that's like, said hey to Bruce Wayne, and everything. When Batman's back there and at the Riddler's apartment, he points out the carpenter tool, and then Bruce Wayne opens up the thing to see the flooding of Gotham plans on the floor. I was thinking, oh, this guy, I bet you anything, this guy right here, this guy did it. This guy's an accomplice. He's probably one of those people that he's going to break the Riddler out, and then they're going to go up there. And I'm like, watch. And then, nope, that didn't happen. I was like, okay, so it's just coincidental of everything. Okay, all right, it's coincidence. All right. Convenient plot. I was like, convenient plotting. Okay. I was like, but, I was thinking, all right, well, but the movie was really good. If I had to give this movie a grade, I would give it a solid B. A B+. Thank you all so much.